This one I've drawn here shows the tube and the needle would already be in and set in the machine. These are electromagnets, and then there's an armature bar, and then there's a front spring and a back spring that regulates the tattoo machine. Once you have this thing hooked up, your clip cords will clip into the machine. You'll see on most machines there's two little holes that, and this is a little spring on here. You'll just squeeze it together and it'll pop into there and it'll hold it into the machine. That's going to get plugged right into where it says clip cord on your box, and then you're going to have a foot switch that's going to plug in where it says foot switch. This is your foot switch, and what happens is you'll step on the foot switch and that will send electricity up here to the two coils, which will then magnetize them. That'll pull the armature bar down, and what happens there, the needle will then come out of the end of the tube. Once this thing, the armature bar comes down and touches the two coils, it breaks the connection. There's a little set of points up here. When that connection is broken, that shuts off the magnets and basically just shuts it off. So what it is every time you step on that pedal, you complete the circuit, and it's going on, off, and it's just turning this on. And the faster it goes, how you set your box here, we'll talk about that in a minute, it will determine how fast this thing is going to come in and out of the skin. Once you set up your machine, you've got the needle set into the tube, and I'm going to talk about this again. The needle barely comes out the edge of the tube. That's how you set the depth. So when you're tattooing somebody, the deepest you'll ever be able to go once that needle comes all the way out is to the edge of that tube. And that'll determine the depth. You don't want to set that thing with the needle protruding out the end any more than just a fraction of an inch, just sticking out the edge of the tube. So it's a pretty basic operation to set it up. The adjustments that you can make on the machines where the points connect, there is a little set screw right here, and that will determine the gap in between there. It's just like a set of car points basically. When you're outlining, you can set this gap with a simple thing like a dime. You can take a dime and put it in between there and just turn the screw to the gap as to the width of a dime. For shading, you want your machine to run a little bit slower, so you're going to open this up and set it to the size of a nickel. And that's a pretty basic gap on a tattoo machine, so it'll run at the proper speed. You're going to have two rubber bands going across. You'll see that on every tattoo machine. Once the machine starts going, the needle's going up and down, but you don't want it to sway back and forth, and the rubber bands actually keep that needle from moving too fast in the tube back and forth. It keeps it real steady. So as you draw, the tattoo line is not all jagged. It's a real smooth line, and the rubber bands make that. You'll change those rubber bands about every third tattoo. You can change them. They get stretched out. The clip cord that I showed on here, like I said before, this is a spring type that connects between the two posts on the machine. There's also an RCA jack that basically looks like the other end. Some tattoo machines have a little plug here that you can plug it in, and you can eliminate the idea of the old clip cord thing. The power units, they're going to vary depending on which type you have. Some have 2 meters on them, some don't have any meters on them, and the meters are just more regulation to run the machine. Basically, you're going to have a knob, and you're going to, as you turn it, you're going to turn up the voltage, and you're going to hear the machine run faster and slower. And when I show you the next thing we're going to do is we're going to tattoo some grapefruits to give you an idea how the machine works and what it looks like, and that's a good thing to practice on before you start doing people. So we're going to do that next.